The wrong number. The right person. The morning sunlight streamed through the tall windows of David Matthews' penthouse apartment, casting golden rectangles across the hardwood floors. The spacious living room, with its cream-colored furniture and carefully chosen artwork, spoke of success and refined tastes. Yet for all its elegance, the space felt more like a showroom than a home where a family truly lived. David stood in his walk-in closet, adjusting his navy tie with practiced efficiency. As the CEO of a rapidly growing tech company, his days were filled with board meetings, investor calls, and strategic decisions that affected hundreds of employees. But this morning, like every morning for the past 3 years, his most important job began before he even left for the office. "Emma, sweetheart, time to get ready for school," he called out, his voice carrying the gentle authority of a father who had learned to balance firmness with love. 8-year-old Emma Matthews appeared in the doorway, her blonde hair slightly messy from sleep, wearing her favorite white pajamas with tiny stars printed on them. She rubbed her eyes and looked up at her father with the same warm brown eyes that her mother had possessed. "Do I have to go to school today, Daddy?" Emma asked, though she was already moving toward her own room to get dressed. This was their morning routine, a small negotiation that both knew would end the same way it always did. "Yes, you do, little star," David replied, using the nickname he had given her when she was born. "Mrs. Peterson will pick you up after school, and I'll be home by 7 for dinner. We can work on your art project together." David's life had become a carefully orchestrated schedule since his wife Sarah's death 3 years ago. Mrs. Peterson, their longtime nanny, managed Emma's after-school activities and helped maintain some stability in their lives. But today, everything was about to change in the most unexpected way. As David gathered his briefcase and checked his phone for messages, Mrs. Peterson called with news that sent his perfectly planned day into chaos. "Mr. Matthews, I'm so sorry." Her voice came through the phone, strained with genuine regret. "My sister has been rushed to the hospital, and I need to drive to Milwaukee immediately. I won't be able to pick up Emma from school today." David felt his stomach drop. He had 3 crucial meetings scheduled for the afternoon, including a presentation to potential investors that could secure the future of his company. But Emma's safety and well-being always came first. "Don't worry about us, Mrs. Peterson. Your family needs you right now. I hope your sister is okay." After ending the call, David quickly searched through his phone for backup childcare options. In his contacts, he found a babysitting service he had used once before in an emergency. His fingers moved quickly across the screen as he dialed what he thought was their number. "Hello," a warm, familiar voice answered after several rings. "Hi, this is David Matthews. I have an emergency and need someone to pick up my 8-year-old daughter from Lincoln Elementary at 3:30 today. Are you available?" There was a pause on the other end of the line. "I think you might have the wrong number, but Lincoln Elementary, that's where I work. What's your daughter's name?" David's mind went blank for a moment. The voice sounded so familiar, but he couldn't place it. "Emma Matthews. She's in Mrs. Johnson's 3rd grade class." Another pause, longer this time. "Emma Matthews. The little girl with the star-shaped beret who always helps other kids with their reading." "That sounds like her," David said, feeling both confused and relieved. "Do you know Emma?" "Yes, I do. This is Alexandra, Alexandra Volkov. I'm the new reading specialist at Lincoln Elementary. We met briefly at the parent-teacher conference last month." David's breath caught in his throat. Alexandra, the woman with the striking blue eyes and gentle smile who had spoken so passionately about helping children discover the joy of reading. He remembered how Emma had talked about Miss Alexandra for weeks after their first session together, and how his daughter's love of books had blossomed under her guidance. "Miss Alexandra," David said, his professional composure momentarily forgotten. "I'm so sorry. I thought I was calling a babysitting service. I must have missed." "It's all right," Alexandra replied, and David could hear the smile in her voice. "These things happen when we're stressed. Is everything okay? You mentioned an emergency." David found himself explaining the situation, telling this woman he barely knew about Mrs. Peterson's family crisis and his impossible schedule. As he spoke, he realized how isolated his life had become, how few people he could truly rely on outside of paid professionals. "I could stay with Emma after school," Alexandra offered without hesitation. "I don't have any other commitments today, and she's such a wonderful child. I'd be happy to help." "I couldn't ask you to do that," David protested, though relief was already flooding through him. "You barely know us. Sometimes the best connections come from unexpected moments," Alexandra said softly. "And Emma has told me quite a bit about her father, who works very hard and makes the best pancakes on Sunday mornings." David smiled despite his stress. That was Emma, sharing the details of their life with anyone who would listen. "She talks about you too. You've made such a difference in her confidence with reading. She's a special little girl. She just needed someone to believe in her abilities." 2 hours later, David sat in his final meeting of the day, trying to focus on quarterly projections while his mind wandered to home. He had texted Alexandra his address and given her permission to take Emma there after school, but worry gnawed at him. Not about Emma's safety. Somehow he trusted Alexandra completely, but about the strangeness of the situation. When David finally arrived home at 6:30 earlier than usual, he heard something he hadn't heard in months. Emma's genuine, delighted laughter echoing from the living room. He followed the sound and found Emma and Alexandra sitting cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by books and art supplies. Emma was reading aloud from a chapter book, her voice confident and clear, while Alexandra listened with the kind of patient attention that every child deserves. Daddy, Emma jumped up and ran to him. Miss Alexandra helped me finish my book report, and we made cookies, and she told me stories about when she was little in Russia. David looked over Emma's head at Alexandra, who was gathering up the art supplies with quiet efficiency. She wore a simple white blouse and jeans, her blonde hair falling softly around her shoulders. There was something so natural about seeing her in his home, as if she belonged there. "Thank you," David said, the words carrying much more weight than a simple expression of gratitude. "I don't know how to repay your kindness." Alexandra stood and smoothed down her shirt, a slight blush coloring her cheeks. Spending time with Emma was its own reward. "She's remarkable." "Stay for dinner," Emma piped up before David could speak. "Daddy's making his famous spaghetti tonight." David looked at Alexandra expectantly, hoping she wouldn't refuse. "Emma's right, it's the least I can do." Alexandra hesitated, then nodded with a warm smile. "I'd like that very much." As they moved to the kitchen together, Emma chattering about her day between them, David realized that sometimes life's most important moments come disguised as simple mistakes. A wrong number had brought the right person into their lives, and for the first time in years, his perfectly organized world felt beautifully unpredictable. The evening light filled the apartment with a golden warmth, and David Matthews discovered that some of life's best plans are the ones you never make at all.